You know, I used to have a fear of the hurdles, but then I got over it. Welcome back to Yukon Lose It, and today's video is about the guaranteed way to lose weight. Coming from a guy who lost 170 pounds and then gained it all back. Now, the reason why I decided to make this video so early on is not just to get a bunch of views, but honestly, almost all of my videos from here on out are going to reference what I'm talking about here. And in my opinion, calories in, calories out is the fundamental truth behind any weight loss. There's a lot of people out there who deny that this is the truth, but I think there's a way to look at this logically. If I asked you, if you only ate one piece of bacon each day, would you agree that you'd probably lose weight? I don't think anybody's going to deny that. Now, what if I asked, if you ate 5,000 pieces of bacon every single day, would you agree that you would gain weight? Again, I don't see anybody denying that. So wouldn't you think that there is some middle ground between there where you wouldn't gain weight, but you wouldn't lose weight? I could go through all the options. I could say, how about 2 pieces of bacon? How about 3 pieces of bacon? Eventually, there's going to be a midway point where you're not going to lose weight or gain weight. Now, obviously, this is a very simplified way of looking at it. If all you ate was bacon, you wouldn't be healthy regardless if you're gaining or losing weight. But that's not the point. The point is calories. At some point, there's a break-even point for calories. You eat over that break-even point, you gain weight. You eat under that break-even point, you lose weight. The trick is to find where that break-even point is for you. There's actually a term for that break-even point. And before we get to that, there's also a term called the basal metabolic rate, or your BMR. And this is the number of calories your body burns just to live, just to run those organs, just to stay alive. But your BMR isn't actually your break-even point, because we don't just survive. Most people do other things during the day. Get out of bed, brush your teeth, go to work, maybe go for a walk, maybe go to the gym and exercise. Now, to account for these calories that we burn during the day, other than just surviving, the phrase for that is called your total daily energy expenditure. This is basically your BMR plus any extra calories that you burn doing your normal daily activities. You'll often see this referred to as your TDEE, and this is your break-even point. Before we dive into figuring out what your TDEE actually is, let's talk a little bit about gaining and losing weight. Now, a pound of fat is 3,500 calories. If you eat 3,500 calories less than your TDEE, you will lose 1 pound of fat. On the flip side of that, if you eat more than 3,500 calories, you will gain 1 pound of fat. If you think about this, it's pretty clear why it's way easier to gain weight than it is to lose weight. If your TDEE is 2,000 calories in one day, that's your BMR, which is keeping you alive, plus your activity during the day. If that number sits around 2,000 calories, you can't eat 3,500 calories less than that. But you can potentially eat 3,500 calories more than that. You'd be surprised at how many people out there, including myself on certain days, have eaten 5,500 plus calories. 5,500 calories is a pretty big day, but here's an example of what that day could look like. It's not necessarily out of reach. Now, I am oversimplifying a little bit because a TDEE is an estimate. Calories are near impossible to track perfectly, and there's a lot of other factors out there like water weight and salt content in your foods and carbohydrates. So your scale might not exactly show that you lost 1 pound, but if you did your math right and you got a close enough estimate and you were honest about tracking your calories, you will have lost 1 pound of fat. The next question is, how do I figure out what my TDEE is? If you go to Google and you type in TDEE, you're going to get tons of information. You're going to get a lot of websites trying to sell you something, trying to get your email addresses, trying to sign you up for newsletters. It's all junk. Among all that junk that you're going to find out there, there is one website that I personally use, and I'd like to show you that today. So here's that website that I use. It's called SailRabbit.com/BMR. I'll put the link in the description. And this site couldn't be easier to use. So here's how we do this. First, let's type in our age. I am 29 years old. Type in our weight. Today, I weighed in at 313.3, I believe. I am male. And I am 6 feet tall. So in inches, that is 72. Now with just that information entered, you can actually figure out what your BMR is. Remember, BMR is the calories your body burns just to stay alive, assuming you're comatose. To figure out your TDEE, you need to go into this next area and pick your activity level. Now, if I pick this very first one, that's basically going to give me my BMR. If you see these numbers down here, here's my BMR. There's a few different ways that it's calculated. So again, it's an estimate. It's not exact. And then the numbers over here are my TDEE. If you notice, these numbers are the exact same. That's because I put in that I was comatose. Now, as I increase my activity level, you'll notice on the left side here, BMR, it's not changing at all. That's because BMR is as if you're comatose. What's changing is my TDEE, which is your BMR plus your activity level. This is where you have to be careful about the balance of being as accurate as possible and being a little conservative. Now, when you're my size and you have a lot of weight to lose, I urge you to be a little bit on the conservative side. Maybe find your activity level and then pick the one beneath that, just to make sure that you're getting an accurate reading. Some people will argue with me on this because they say that you should get more accurate. But again, in my opinion, it's better to underestimate than to overestimate. So let's take me as an example. I have all my information typed in here. I do work from home, so I would click 1.16. Now, if I look down at these numbers here, my TDEE, I have a range that I can kind of pick from, anywhere between 3,178 and 2,812. Again, you're kind of getting into the debate of being conservative versus trying to be as accurate as possible. I look at this and I lean more towards 2,800, but let's just say 3,000 calories. Now that we know my TDEE, we can come down to this next section here, and this area helps us figure out how many calories we need to be eating per day in order to lose or gain a specified amount. So let's look at weekly, and let's go with our original example of losing 1 pound per week. This will now show what our deficit needs to be. And like I said before, a 1 pound deficit, meaning we want to lose 1 pound per week, is telling us that we need to eat 3,500 less calories than our TDEE. Then if we look over at daily, our daily deficit is 500 calories. Again, that's 3,500 divided by 7, so 500 calories. Take this 500 calories, subtract it from our TDEE, which is 3,014 calories, and we get 2,514 calories. So for someone at my weight, my height, my gender, my activity level, if I want to lose 1 pound per week, all I'd have to do is stick to around 2,500 calories per day, which is really attainable. But let's say I want to be a little more aggressive with that. Let's switch our weekly goal to 3 pounds per week. This would mean that I have to eat at a 10,500 calorie deficit per week, which translates to a 1,500 calorie deficit per day. 3,000 minus 1,500 is 1,500 calories per day. Now, according to doctors, there is a minimum amount of calories that one person should consume. For females, that's 1,200 calories. For males, that's 1,500 calories. This is where you start getting into the discussion of sustainability. You don't want to eat at such a deficit that you're just going to force yourself to end up binging. So you got to find where your happy medium is. And if you want to work from what calories you can eat, you can enter those into this calculator and it'll tell you what your expected weekly weight loss will be. All right, so let's switch away from the site now and summarize what we discussed. So the first thing we talked about was your BMR. This is the calories your body needs just to live, just to keep your organs running. Then we talked about your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. This is your BMR plus your activity throughout the day. Then we talked about what it means to gain weight or lose weight. And really this comes down to 3,500 calories equals 1 pound of fat. If you eat 3,500 calories more than your TDEE, you gain a pound. If you eat 3,500 calories less than your TDEE, you lose a pound. With that information, you just need to figure out what rate you want to lose, say 2 pounds per week. Multiply that by 3,500 calories, that gives you 7,000 calories. Divide that by 7 days a week, and that gives you 1,000 calories. You need to eat at a 1,000 calorie deficit in order to lose 2 pounds per week. It's that simple. Now, just a sidebar, again, I simplified this a bit. You shouldn't be eating 2,000 calories worth of bacon and nothing else. You still need other nutrients in your diet. And you also need to be careful about losing weight too aggressively. The whole point of losing weight is to get healthier, and you don't want to lose weight in an unhealthy way. So again, what's the guaranteed way to lose weight? Figure out your break-even point. Eat less than that. It's that simple. Hopefully these videos are getting a little bit better. I've had a little practice talking into the camera. I'm practicing editing these videos. I'm practicing stepping up the quality a little bit. Again, any feedback you have, I'd love to hear it. I really, really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great day. Bye.